A powerful earthquake has rocked Myanmar, a neighboring Thailand, killing at least 3 people in Bangkok and burying dozens when a high-rise building under construction collapsed. Footage shared on social media from Myanmar's second largest city showed widespread destruction, raising fears that many were trapped under the rubble or killed. The 7.7 magnitude tremor hit northwest of the city of Sagyang at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers. A 6.4 magnitude aftershock hit the same area minutes later. Meanwhile, as per reports, 20 people have died at a major hospital in Myanmar's capital and many others are injured. Joining us live is Ambassador Bhashwati Mukherjee, former diplomat. We also have Dr. N.K. Singh, Director, NAM Institute, Delhi, joining us live. Raju Manwani, Vice President, VHP, is also joining us live from Thailand. Raju Manwani, let me begin with you first. It was a very, very shocking earthquake. Just take us through what you felt, what you experienced earlier today, and how the sense on ground now is a few hours later.
Is hardly the word that we can say. It was absolutely devastating. We could not have imagined that a place like Thailand would experience such wild tremors. I mean, I live in a high rise, just about medium high, and I will tell you, my bedroom chandelier was swaying almost 180 degrees. I've seen a few other earthquakes in Bangkok, and it has never been anything like this at all. The building was shaking, the entire sofas, our cupboards, I mean, I was afraid something or the other would fall, but luckily we were all safe. As is the practice, we all ran down. My entire building, we had about 200 people standing down. We managed to, stay there down for about 5 hours. Ultimately, it got a bit too tiring, and the aftershocks also reduced in intensity and in frequency. And that is a time when many people decided that it was time to go home and retire for the night. Some friends, some of my neighbors are packing their bags and going to stay in other friends' places who have houses on for 1 or 2 stories high. And but I think I'm staying put in my home for the moment. But as you know, we are expecting aftershocks for at least the next 24 hours.
All right. Let me, in fact, also ask you then, Raju Manwani, about the updates regarding loss of life and damage to property. What is the report that you are getting? Also, any Indian diaspora so far affected? The VHP, of course, works closely with the Indian diaspora there. Any reports that you've heard so far?
Fortunately, there have been no reports of any damage or loss of life to any Indian expatriate. Unfortunately, 3 workers have been found dead at the building collapse near the weekend market, the 34-story building that had collapsed, and approximately 70 to 80 workers are still missing. So we pray and hope that we can remove them alive and they can get back to the health and working. Besides that, of course, the usual glass breaking and wall cracks, that's just about normal. But Bangkok has been declared as an emergency zone for now. The governor has declared all the parks to be open. They normally close at 6 p.m. in the evening, but they have been declared to be open. Mobile toilets, water, food is being sent there for people who are not comfortable going back to their homes or whose homes have been damaged at the moment.
I think obviously getting back home is also a challenge right now with the railways and metro suspended and traffic presumably on the streets. But any advisories that you can share with us that your government has issued to you?
Yes. One thing they would know is that please stay away from the roads as far as possible, because I know some friends of mine who are till now stuck in the traffic for approximately 4 to 5 hours and they're still not able to get home. That's one thing. BTS and MRT were suspended earlier. The airport is shut down also until they can access the damage totally. And the idea is just to be careful. Keep your resources handy. Make sure you don't run down just recklessly or use the elevators in time when there is a tremor. And basically just the general precautions that the government has advised. But they also mentioned that we can expect aftershocks for up to 24 hours from this afternoon.
Okay, let me in fact quickly address some breaking news also coming in now this hour. Myanmar Shadow Foreign Minister has released a statement. He has said the situation is very serious and there is an urgent need for international humanitarian and technical help. The Myanmar government has said that communications are a serious challenge. There is limited access and internet is restricted. The government has accepted that more casualties are likely in Mandalay, near the epicenter of the quake. Myanmar Shadow Foreign Minister has confirmed at least 12 deaths in Myanmar from the earthquake so far. Disturbing news coming in, Ambassador Mukherjee, from Myanmar, which obviously was the epicenter of the quake. The Shadow Foreign Minister says the death toll has risen, also could rise further, saying international humanitarian aid now is needed.
Very disturbing news, and there were tremors also felt in Kolkata and in our northeast because of its proximity to Myanmar. Myanmar urgently needs international aid. The government of Myanmar is not in effective control of its border with India, which has been taken over by the Rakhine army. So that would need some careful maneuvering on our part to see how to send aid, in which direction and how. I would like to express my great admiration for my fellow panelist, Mr. Manwani, about his ordeal in Bangkok. It must have been a most scary experience, and I would like to express my admiration that he's still sitting in his building. There's also a shadow which has been cast on the forthcoming BIMSTEC summit, Uday, next week. If Bangkok has been declared an emergency zone, and naturally after such a massive earthquake there are aftershocks, will it be in a position to host such a prestigious summit where our Prime Minister is expected to attend next week or not? That is a big shadow over BIMSTEC. And as far as Myanmar is concerned, I'm sure that we will respond fully, as we always have with our neighbors. You remember some time ago, we responded when Nepal had a crisis, and Bangladesh. That is our ethos as India, and we will definitely respond with whatever we have. The Thais don't, I'm sure, need any assistance from us, but Myanmar certainly does, and so we will have to provide assistance to both parts of Myanmar, that controlled by the Myanmar army and the other controlled by the Rakhine army. Because the epicenter is somewhere in between. So it's a very, very troublesome situation. And I pray for, like Mr. Manwani, for the lives of those who were in that collapse of that building, which I've seen on social media and which looks so scary on social media, that entire 36-story building coming down in that manner.
Absolutely. Let me in fact address some more breaking news coming in. Thai witnesses have expressed shock on seeing the under construction building fall. Rescue operations continue at that high rise which collapsed at the Chatuchak district of Bangkok. Dozens of workers are still reportedly stuck under the debris there. So this of course is the big news we are tracking for you this hour, where of course rescue operations are continuing. Dr. N.K. Singh, let me draw you in here. Dr. N.K. Singh, this is a tragedy of immense proportions, but right now of course the priority has shifted to the rescue operations at that building at Chatuchak, which collapsed, an under construction building. Many workers feared, trapped there. We're getting live visuals, live pictures right now of the spot of that tragedy. How complicated would such a search and rescue be?
Yeah, it's really very complicated. If you go by the experiences in Indian context also, whenever in the historical past the seismic activities of such magnitude, higher magnitude, it is believed that it's 7.7 in magnitude, that has affected largely the Myanmar and Bangkok, Thailand. So this is very tricky and troublesome situation, how to actually rescue the people who are trapped in such a natural disaster. So I think there should be a proper international cooperation that should be extended to the government of Myanmar and Bangkok, and the government also, national government also should take quick initiative so as to rescue the trapped people. As we have news have reported that many laborers and marginalized people are trapped in high skyscraper buildings. So they need to be immediately protected and saved from their life, and it's a very great international humanitarian concern. And the government of India, our Foreign Secretary Mr. Misri, has also assured the Myanmarese government and that is junta government and the Thai government to give all possible assistance. So hopefully we all international community, international governance will work together to give proper support to these affected areas and save the people, their lives.
Yes, let me in fact also get in some more breaking news coming in this hour. The Thai Prime Minister has visited the collapsed construction site after the Myanmar quake tremor. She's also addressed the media and assured that all other high-rises remain strong and have borne the impact. So the Thai Prime Minister has also spoken out.
ในเรื่องของตึกต่างๆในกรุงเทพเนี่ยถือว่าสร้างได้มาตรฐานเกินที่จะถ้ามีแผ่นดินไหวที่แรงกว่านี้นะคะก็ยังสามารถรับได้แต่ว่าทุกตึกตอนนี้นะคะจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยถ้ามีการตรวจความพร้อมว่ามีอะไรเสียหายบ้างนะคะแต่จริงๆส่วนใหญ่แล้วตอนนี้กลับเข้าที่พักกันได้ทั้งหมดแล้วนะคะแล้วก็จริงตึกที่มีปัญหาคือตึกที่กำลังก่อสร้างเพราะว่ามันมีในเรื่องของความแข็งแรงแล้วก็ตัวของผนังด้วยค่ะส่วนกลางเหตุ
Yes, that of course was the Thai Prime Minister speaking there. The focus, Raju Manwani, has shifted obviously to that under construction site. The Thai Prime Minister visiting the spot of the accident as well, speaking with the media. She has said also that thankfully all other high rises are safe. The structures have borne the impact. Inspection has been carried out of other buildings.
Yes, but at the moment, I would be a bit careful in saying that this is the only building, because we still have not got any reports from the suburbs of Bangkok, extended suburbs, and the area up to the border area at Kanchanaburi. That would be the closest border crossing to Myanmar from the Thailand side. So it's quite a populated area, and I'm just fearful about what could be happening on that side, because Bangkok is approximately, I would say, 1,200 kilometers from the epicenter, and those places are about 400 kilometers from Bangkok. So it's about just 2/3 of the distance from Bangkok to the epicenter. And I'm just waiting for the news from those areas to come in to see how far they have been affected.
Let me in fact quickly now go back across to Ambassador Mukherjee. Ambassador Mukherjee, the Thai Prime Minister of course has just spoken with the media there. As you were saying, BIMSTEC is happening next week. Prime Minister Modi in fact is also scheduled to visit Thailand next week. Many other heads of state, important dignitaries will be descending to the Thai capital. Is it ready for such a conference in just a few days? Is something to be seen. Also the fear will be more aftershocks as well, such a severe earthquake. That becomes the biggest fear, Ambassador Mukherjee, as to possible aftershocks, possible tsunami as well.
It's a very troubling situation. It is supposed to be a most important BIMSTEC summit. It has a very important agenda, including with regard to the impact of some of the measures which President Trump has announced with regard to trade, etc. And a host of very important leaders, including our own Prime Minister, is expected to attend. In such a situation, I don't know, as Mr. Manwani says, he doesn't have full information. Has the airport been damaged? Have major 5-star hotels been damaged? When these kind of international conferences are held, Uday, I can tell you from my experience, we send advanced teams, all heads of state and government. We look at the hotels, we select, then usually we keep one floor on top and one floor at the bottom vacant. We block the rooms for security reasons, etc. We would need to know in a day or two what is the condition, the actual security, physical security of these buildings where the different heads of state and government were to be situated, the condition of the conference center, or whether it would be feasible to have it early next week as scheduled, or should it be postponed by a couple of weeks, because Thailand is is going to be the chair. So naturally, it has to be held in Bangkok. But since we don't even know right now, as Mr. Manwani pointed out, the condition of people in the suburbs of Bangkok, which are closer to the epicenter. So I really feel that there would be a huge question mark, Uday, on whether we can have the BIMSTEC exactly as scheduled next week, which then brings in the other problem that all these heads of state and government have their schedules blocked 6 months in advance. So to find another suitable date when Bangkok is ready to receive them and which suit all the heads of state and government of BIMSTEC is again going to be a troubling issue. So I hesitate to say this, but judging from my 39 years in foreign service and judging from what our guest from Bangkok has told us, I think it would be very difficult to have such an important summit with so many very important world leaders coming as scheduled early next week, given that today is already, for him the time difference, it must be midnight for him, it's evening for us, and today is Friday. We just have 3 days more. I really don't see how we can have it as scheduled.
More breaking news meanwhile coming in. Myanmar hospitals are facing an overwhelming influx of people. Rows of wounded lay outside the emergency department. More than 1,000 beds have been sustained, have in fact sustained significant damage as well. So this is now becoming a big complication, Dr. N.K. Singh. Some of the hospitals have been damaged as well. Almost 1,000 beds have been damaged. There are rows of wounded people outside Myanmar hospitals. They're facing an overwhelming influx of people. Dr. N.K. Singh, are you able to hear me? Please go ahead. Okay, I don't think he can hear me. Let me get in Raju Manwani there. Raju Manwani, this is of course now a big complication. The injured now reaching hospitals. As you were saying, even in Bangkok, there's a state of emergency. One can imagine what the situation in Myanmar is, which was the epicenter. Mandalay in particular, we are learning that hospitals there are facing a big emergency situation. Rows of wounded people outside. What reports are you hearing from Bangkok hospitals? And obviously our heart goes out to the Myanmarese health authorities.
My heart, along with yours, goes to the people of Myanmar, definitely. I mean, they will have borne the brunt of this earthquake. But I think the situation in Bangkok is pretty good, except for this disaster zone where the building has collapsed. Any other place, I don't see much problem. Hospitals are working absolutely normal. There's no rush at all over here. Not that anything has been reported yet, but I don't see any rush happening at the hospitals. Things are basically almost back to normal. I can see traffic moving much more
smoothly at this time. However, of course, the situation is very complicated, Ambassador Mukherjee, in Myanmar. The hospitals there facing a huge influx of people. I spoke with the Indian embassy official at Rangoon. He said, luckily in Rangoon things are much better, even though there too the earthquake was very severe. However, their counterparts are, fearing the worst in Mandalay, saying there the damage is much more severe.
It's a very serious situation. I have been to Myanmar. Many of the houses are constructed of very light material, wood, etc. They would have sustained less damage. I presume that those which have sustained more damage are the modern buildings which have been constructed the way they are in major. But yes, need to rush in medical supply, doctors, etc. You said that hotels hospitals damaged. That is a very serious issue. And I'm sure that I'm in contact with MED to see how this can be addressed.
Okay, I think there's an echo there in Ambassador Mukherjee's connection. Let's try and correct that, please. But quickly coming back now across to you, Raju Manwani, on of course, now obviously the citizens will have to help those in need. The spirit of Thailand must now stand strong, and also Myanmar. I think that's something that now needs to happen as these cities heal the wounds of what has unfolded in the last 12 hours.
from Mr. Singh's. Yeah, okay. Can you repeat the question, Uday, if you don't mind?
More breaking news coming in. Myanmar army has run TV channels have reported damage across Mandalay. Videos have finally been released of the damaged buildings in Mandalay as well, but obviously the damage has been most severe. As per our reports, 13 people have been killed so far now in Myanmar. These are the big updates coming in. Very severe damage in Mandalay. Ambassador Bashwati Mukherjee, the death toll also rising to 13.
Mandalay is a very important city in Myanmar, and it's heavily populated. If there is damage, the mortality rate, I pray, is not too high. The need of the hour is for the international community, particularly neighboring countries, to step in and rush aid. I presume the aid should be airborne. We should fly in whatever we can to Rangoon Airport. Since you said that it is less damaged than Mandalay, but judging from the kind of communication system they have within Myanmar, I'm a little pessimistic as to how long it would take for the aid to actually reach the people affected, because in such situations, the most important thing is for the aid to reach as soon as possible. As far as Thailand is concerned, it seems to be much better organized. So they probably would have already made the necessary arrangements. And if they need extra aid, of course, India would come to Thailand's aid. But I think the need of the hour for all of us here is to focus on how to help Myanmar in its hour of great need and distress today.
My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion. It's time for a very short break. Much more coming up on the other side.